Hello and welcome to the heroic Gate of the Setting Sun healing guide and overall view. As always, I've got the ability scrolling above me for each boss, and I wanted to go through this with you guys because this dungeon has 4 bosses. Again, great artwork in this dungeon again. And some pretty interesting boss mechanics throughout this dungeon. It's kind of nice because the trash leading up to each boss kind of shows you a little bit of what's going to happen. For this guy, you're going to have a couple different abilities, okay? He's going to cast Sabotage on a random player as he's throwing out these big mines that you can see on the ground. Well, what you want to do is he will randomly throw these out, okay? And at 70 and 30%, he's going to destroy them all anyway. So the trick is not to have them blow up until it's 70 or 35%, just because it's a lot less damage that's going out. That way you can kind of pop healing cooldowns at that time, keep everybody topped off, yada, yada, yada. Now, how they go off, okay, how these orbs go off is north, south, east, west. They go directional, okay? They always go directional. You can see throughout the same room. It doesn't matter how they're positioned. They always go north, south, east, west. So when you got a Sabotage, remember that when you drop those bombs off, it's going to go north, south, east, and west. So don't make them hit other bombs, because at 70% and 35%, he's going to blow them all up anyway. Most of the time, most of the room is going to be covered. You might have to adjust a little bit, but the streams are pretty narrow in their actual damage path, okay? So what you need to do is, again, like you see here, just pretty much avoid them, and it's GG, okay? You're going to have to pop healing cooldowns at 70 and 35%, but again, other than that, not a whole lot of damage. You go through a couple of trash packs, go on to the next boss. This boss can be annoying. Not because he's hard, because tanks and DPS make this fight annoying. If you're smart and you're in a pug, just call out, please rotate clockwise, or please rotate counterclockwise, and just follow the tank and just keep going right around in a circle. Because as you can see right here, he's dropping these huge paths of fire. Obviously we don't stand in those. Well, the problem is if the tank runs one way, or the 2 of the DPS run the other way, and he's on the other side, you're screwed. You can't help with ads, you can't get aggro, you have to drag them all over the tank, which means you have to run through the fire and take 15k per tick. Okay, so what you're doing is you're trying to keep these ads grouped up as best as you can while he's doing his little fly thing, and then when he comes back down, you just pick them all up, AoE him down, and start nuking the boss again. The only other thing that you have to worry about in this fight, again, is these acid puddles, these green puddles that you can see on the ground. Those are important to make sure that you're not jumping in either. Obviously, as they do damage. We don't like damage. Damage is bad. Damage makes healers angry. Again, all avoidable. Please be careful. The biggest thing with this fight, guys, is making sure, again, that you're always together. As you can see at the end of this video, the tank runs all the way the other way. We're all running the same way. We're all in the same group. Then all of a sudden, the tank bolts backwards with 2 of the ads, and like right here, check this out. Now look what you've done as a tank. Okay, you're out of range of your healer. There's no DPS over there. You're the only one over there. So now in order to heal you, have to sprint through the fire to come and heal you and try to help DPS these ads. And then as soon as it happens, you're late getting over, so now I have to run back through the fire to get over to you. Now we're back together. That's precious time that we're wasting DPSing, guys. That's tons of extra raid damage from the ads that are coming out that are not being tanked by the tank. They're being tanked by the DPS, which is not good. We don't want to see that. Stop it. Let's make sure that we're always communicating, always running together, even though it's a heroic. Guys, if you think of it like this, it's a pug, right? And I did this purely as a pug, and you're going to see how it got even worse as this fight progressed. But just keep that in mind, guys. You're always trying to make it as easy as possible in case no one's ever been there. And if you've never done a fight, guys, and you haven't watched a video on it or anything, just say something. I beg you. Because the tank or the healer or somebody will give you general guidelines. Like if you're DPS, okay, just watch out for this, and it's pretty much GG. Or if you're tanking, okay, well, he does this and this, don't stand in it. That's all you got to do. And you'll see on Rygon that they didn't do it. But anyway, I'll go into that tangent in a minute. This boss is really, really cool. He does a frontal 90-degree cone, and he does a humongous, like, pain cleave. Like, remember the bosses in, was it Stoneguard? Was that the one? No, not Stoneguard. Oh, God. The dungeon in Kata, with like those two guys that would just like wet flail. Well, now there's a boss that does that, and if you stand in front of him when he does that, it will hurt you. It will kill you. You will die. Don't do that. Bad. That's really your main ability to watch out for. Other than that, the tank's kind of... If the tank takes it a little bit slower than he does in this video and just kind of slowly goes up and down the room, what he does is and everybody kind of stays stacked, is then you're moving the puddles in a controlled manner down, and then you just run back to the top and you're moving them back down. That way there's not puddles everywhere. There's adds that scale the wall. The tank needs to pick those up. The problem is again, this is one of those fights that if you're a tank, if you don't know it, you're really going to tick off the rest of your group because you need to understand that fight. It's just a matter of grouping ads and just slowly kiting the boss so that everyone doesn't have to stand in the goo or the frontal cone, and make sure that you know that when he's doing his big hard damage that you have a raid cooldown to pop or a personal cooldown to pop, you know, anything that does physical damage reduction. Okay, any physical damage reduction will work. If you're a DPS and you do get stuck in it, pop that physical damage reduction and then get back to DPSing while you're moving. Anything to help your healer out during that fight because you will get hit very, very hard if you don't. On to Rykon. This is literally one of the easiest final boss encounters that Blizzard has made, but they have also made it so that it is incredibly easy to screw up. No one in this group had any idea, and I actually stopped this video. I was going to redo this whole video, right? Just because of this boss, I was going to have to re-record because it was just a nightmare. And I said, you know what? No, it's a pug, and I'm going to show people exactly what happens. Like, this is real life video, okay? So for this fight, what happens is you have your tank, your healer, and one DPS who stay down below, okay? Typically, it doesn't really matter who you send up or who you put down. Just make sure that the tank, the DPS, and the healer are kind of generally in the same area because there's going to be adds that come out, there's tornadoes that come out, there's bugs that come out, there's everything that comes out all over the ground. So you're pretty much just dancing around, and then when this big group of adds come out, the tank hopefully picks them up. The trick is, guys, is the other two DPS, there's these cannons called artillery all over the room, right? Your guys' job is to jump up and DPS the weak spot. If you look at my video, LVY has both of those things. See the weak spot? It's the green bar, and the boss's health is the red bar. Notice that the green bar never moves. And notice that the DPS isn't hitting anything. Okay, the boss is completely immune to damage while his carapace is up. As soon as it kills it, it says broken carapace, you DPS the boss, it's GG. Everyone's happy, right? I was literally being complained about in this group because they didn't understand what they were doing. I said, do you guys have any idea what you're doing? Well, no. Well, why didn't you say something before we encountered 8 minutes of dealing with this? Again, guys, I wanted to put this in there so you can see literally, like, this is what you have to do. Don't target the boss. Target the weak spot. You can only target it if you're one of the two DPS up there. The other guys, don't worry about anything until that carapace is broken. Enjoy the fight, guys. We'll see ya.